Well, we're coming into a new year, and it causes me to think about new beginnings. And in the book of Revelation, chapter 21, God says, "Behold, I make all things new." It talks about making a new heaven and a new earth. Now, what surprised me about reading that is that I expected there to be a committee or a board meeting right after that announcement saying, "Wait a minute, what do you mean you're going to make everything new? That's going to shake everything up." We like to predict and control. Now, you may think you don't. Some of you, maybe you don't so much. But most of you, to some degree, like to predict and control. You like to know what you can count on. You like to know that you're going to wake up in the morning. You are glad to see the sun come up. You're glad to see, oh, I have a place to sleep tonight. I mean, admit it. We like to have some things that we can count on. So I'm going to share this passage of Scripture with you from Hebrews chapter 12, verses 26 and 27. You've heard me mention it before. This is from the New International Version. "At that time, God's voice shook the earth. But now God has promised, once more I will shake not only the earth, but also heaven." The words "once more" indicate the removing of what can be shaken, that is, created things, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. In the Message translation, it says everything will be shaken so that all the historical and religious junk will be shaken out. That's an interesting translation. What is it that can cause us to transform? Some of us choose transformation. We choose it. We want to grow. We want to expand our lives. But if we came to that decision, generally it's because something shook us up to the point where we want to change. We realize that things are not working the way they are. Most of us are pushed by our pain. Most of us are pushed by evolutionary drivers in our lives. Evolutionary drivers, but driving us to some new transformation, and we may resist. Many, many times I've had people come to me for counseling. They sincerely want their lives to be different. And they say, "Pastor Tim, Reverend Tim, can you help me to change my life?" So I start talking with them about what they're already doing, and then looking at what might there be that you need to do to change, and what is it that you need to let go of, and they begin backing up. Often they don't want to let go of anything. They want their life to change without changing anything that they do. And I ask them, "How's that working for you? You want your life to be different, but you don't want to do anything different? Do you think that's going to work?" How many people here have seen the movie Wicked? I've asked this before. Okay, a few more have seen it. I really love the movie. Saw it twice now. Want to see it again? And it's a movie in some... There's many themes to it. But one of the themes in the movie Wicked, I would call deconstruction. Have you heard of this term, deconstruction, when it comes to your faith journey? Yes. Deconstruction is where, and there's other words for it, but it's looking at what do I believe, what is my life really about, and looking at it, and do I really believe this? Is this real? I've been in prayer about, okay, how much do I share about some of my deconstruction periods in my life? I'll share one of them a little bit. But protecting those I love, including my ex-wife. I was called one day by our district superintendent. I was a minister in the Church of the Nazarene. I can hear my mom holding her breath right now. We're going to make it, Mom. I was a minister in Church Nazarene, had been for some time. You know, I went through Nazarene University and through Nazarene Seminary. And it's a pretty strict evangelical church. There are movements within it now to bring it into more fundamentalism. Can be, anyway, I don't want to get into all that. Have family and friends and loved ones in this tradition, and I stay in touch, you know. And so one day the district superintendent said, Tim, we got to meet. I'm thinking, okay. Now, I knew people at the church had been acting weird. Weirder than usual. There were some people of the church that used to be like close and friends that were no longer talking to me. Or who would just be shaking their head during the message. Or who would just get up and walk out. I'm thinking, what's going on? I had no clue. No clue. All right, so the district superintendent calls me into his office. And he said, Tim, I have some things I need to share with you. And I'm like, okay. And he proceeded to tell me that my wife at that time was involved in things that I had no idea about. It was quite devastating. In one moment, my whole world turned upside down. In one moment, I realized I don't know what the truth is. In one moment, I realized that someone that I had trusted and confided in was not what I thought. Now, I love this person. Both my wife and I are friends with her. For all I know, she may be watching. We have grandkids in common. But suddenly, my whole world changed. As I look back on that moment, I don't recall breathing. Sometimes when we go into a shock, sometimes when something hard hits us, have you noticed that sometimes we just stop breathing? And my mind, I remember my mind, it was like an explosion went off in my mind. Suddenly, it was like a blank slate where I didn't have anywhere to stand. I didn't know what was true anymore. I didn't know who I was anymore. In just a moment, everything changed. And the district superintendent said, if you want to stay at the church and try to fight through this, I'll support you in it. But frankly, I don't see how that's going to work. I was so devastated, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I had committed my life to being a minister and found myself without a church, without income, because they did not take care of me, without a home, without a job, and the church that I had devoted my life to abandoned me. Family members were suicidal. No counseling was offered. Now, there's been other periods of deconstruction in my life, but this was a big one. It's like, what is real? What is true? The person I thought I could depend upon, I can't. The church I thought I could depend upon, I can't. The friends I thought I could depend upon, I can't. I had some very, very colorful conversations with God. God can take that. Very colorful. But at first, I didn't even know what to do. I didn't know how to relate to God. I didn't know for sure who I was. And one thing I knew was I enjoyed hospital visitation. I enjoyed working with people in the hospitals. And I had heard of something called clinical pastoral education. So I went to a massive general hospital in Wichita, Kansas, Wesley Hospital, and I inquired and I applied. And they're quite strict about who they let in, and somehow or other they invited me in. And thus began the process of me trying to understand, what is my faith? What do I believe? What is real? And I had a peer group that I would talk with, some of whom were going through some of that, but I'm not sure any of them were going through the level that I was. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been in a space or a place where you don't know what is real, what you can depend upon, what is true? Has everything I've been told been a lie? And how much of the beliefs that I used to so strongly defend and stand up for, how many of those beliefs did I really, really believe? And how many of them were just handed to me? That's deconstruction. That's when you sort out, okay, what is real? What do I really believe? And in some Christian movements or other movements, deconstruction is not approved. It's not favored. It's not supported. You're supposed to just hold the line, and you're supposed to preach the line, and you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do, whether you believe it or not. I began to realize that deconstruction was too good of a thing to waste. That it was a good time for me to dig deep. At age 15, I had had a major transformation experience, an awakening experience, which had been preceded by 2 or 3 years of deconstruction at that time. And it opened me up to this sense of oneness, this sense of God being everywhere and in everyone and in everything, that somehow, but yet there was some difference in that I had my own individuality. And I thought, I need to get back to who I really am. It was a challenging process, brutal at times, especially when people who I thought were my friends from that church criticized me, treated me as an outcast, crucified me. Now here's the thing. That was the best gift I could ever be given. Now it took a while for me to really believe that, really own that. But it's the best gift I could ever be given. And this is the reason why. It blew everything apart. It shook everything down so that I could get at the core of what I was really about. And that continues. That's an ongoing process. But there was a gift in it. Here's my question for you. What are you willing to do to transform? What are you willing to let go of? What is holding you back from achieving your dreams? Now, I mentioned the movie Wicked. Spoiler alert. Okay, just a little bit of a spoiler alert in case any of you see it. Okay, you have this woman, very gifted woman, who's been ridiculed, made fun of throughout her life. And finally, she's finding acceptance. Finally, she's finding belonging. And she's invited to come and meet with the Wizard of Oz. This is a Wizard of Oz type of scene. And you know, she's green, and she dresses all in black. And finally, she has some level of acceptance, and she meets the wizard only to find out that he's a fraud. Only to find out that he's actually doing things that are very, very harmful to others. And she's invited to join him and to use her powers to help him in his agenda. So she goes through a deconstruction. She determines, no, I need to do what is mine to do. I want to read from this song. Have any of you heard the song Defying Gravity? I love that song. And if you haven't heard it, maybe, I thought, do I want to try to sing it? No. I mean, sort of want to, but no. So listen to it when you go home. Defying Gravity. It is written by Stephen Lawrence Schwartz. And so Elphaba, is the woman who is green, who has these powers, but she does not want any part of what she sees happening. And the other one with her, Glinda, is saying, come on, this is your chance. She calls her Elfie. Elfie, listen to me. Just say you're sorry. You can still be with the wizard. What you've worked and waited for, you can have all you ever wanted. And Elfie says, I know. But I don't want it. No, I can't want it anymore. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts. Close my eyes and leap. It's time to try defying gravity. I think I'll try defying gravity. And you can't pull me down. It goes on to say, so if you care to find me, look to the western sky. As someone told me lately, everyone deserves the chance to fly. And if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free. To those who ground me, take a message back from me. Tell them how I'm defying gravity. I'm flying high, defying gravity. What is holding you down? What is the gravitational force that's holding you from really taking flight? What is it that's keeping you from taking wings? How willing are you to really take flight? What I'm talking about here is real transformation. Not just feeling better, not just having a shift in my state of consciousness. I'm talking about a real transformation where we move from what we are into something more, something expanded, evolve into something greater. Here's a prophecy for you. All of you will be changed. Promise. The only question is, how long will it take? What opportunities will you take advantage of? I believe, and maybe you can join me in this belief, that your being here is your soul saying, I'm ready for transformation. I'm ready to evolve. Now, you might have come here not thinking that. You may not know that's why you came here. But I believe your soul knew that. I believe your soul knows we're ready for a bigger leap. I remember meditating on the back porch of our house in Wichita, Kansas. And I'd meditate and I'd keep getting this message. There's something more. You're going to be called to something more. Be ready. Okay? And what ended up happening was I applied to Unity Church of Hawaii. You don't know exactly what you're being called to except to let go of those things that are holding you back and allow the vision that is wanting to come up in you to really come forth. Sometimes, though, we cannot accommodate the new vision because we're holding on to the old programming. We're holding on to the old ways. This Tuesday evening at 6 p.m., we have a wonderful opportunity, and we will live stream it as well. So we want you to join us. We will be releasing things that are not working for us. We have a burning bowl ceremony, and we write down what it is we wish to release, what it is that's in our way, what it is that's holding us down, and we release it in the burning bowl. We have, you could call it letters to God. Some people write letters to God. I prefer letters from God. I write a letter from God to myself of what God is envisioning for my life this year. And then we have a white stone ceremony. That comes from Book of Revelation. That behold, I give you a new name written on a white stone. It's a way of declaring what it is that's wanting to be revealed in you. What it is that's calling to come forth. In a way, your new name. So I invite you to come this Tuesday at 6. It's one of our most popular services. You may want to come a little bit early so you can get parking. But this is a process that we are always That's always available. Are you willing? And this is not a rhetorical question. I might wait for the ambulance. And this is an emergency. Are you willing to make a transformation in your life?
Yes.
I heard 3 people. And that's fine. That's fine. 3 people who are really ready for transformation can change the world. But maybe some of you weren't quite ready. Let me try this again. Are you ready for transformation?
Yes.
Oh, wow. And into that yes, God gets busy. Into that yes, the universe responds. Into that yes, transformation begins to shift. So be ready. Because God says, behold, I make all things new.